The first memory I have of Blimpe is when I was about 5 years old. I would wake up early on Saturday mornings with my dad, and we would go and get breakfast, and then we would come to the store and I would help him open. But my favorite thing that we would do together is we would count the monies. I had this little plastic cash register with all of these fake coins and fake bills, and I would stand there and I would count my money. My dad would stand there and count the actual money, and that was actually how I learned to count money in the first place, was by coming here on Saturday mornings and doing it with my dad. And that's the first memory that I have of Blimpe of my entire life. My dad owned the Blimpe in Conyers when I was born. In fact, there are pictures of when I first went there. It was 4 days old, and there are banners strung up that say it's a girl, and there were posters where you get your sandwich that say that I was born, and they had my name and my birthday and the time I was born, and it was really special, and I have pictures of that in my baby book. There's a picture of one of the old managers holding me when I'm just 4 days old. Blimpe has always been a part of my life that I've known. It's like a family, and I've never known my life without it.
Franchise agreement, when I signed in the year 2000, was a 20-year agreement. Our first day of business was, I believe, was April 10th. So it will come to termination on April the 9th of 2020. There's multiple things that take place in getting a restaurant open in the morning. Because of that, we stagger our staffing in the morning. So my role, usually as I get here first thing in the morning, is to, first thing I do, of course, come in the back door, turn off the alarm, walk the restaurant, checking all of my refrigeration and freezer units to make sure that they're functioning properly, because if they're not, that is an immediate issue that needs to be addressed immediately. Secondly, I will then go to the register or the POS system, where I will audit yesterday's payroll to make sure that the people who worked remembered to clock out when they were supposed to clock out. Check and make sure that they did clock in, their break times were accurate. And so then at that point, I'll also check the daily sales from the day before to see how we did. And that's going to get me prepared for the money aspect. When I'm done with that, I then roll into taking a quick inventory for my product. I'll take a quick inventory of my bread product so I can determine what it is I need to prepare for that day as far as specialty breads and cookie counts. So at that point, I go back into the back of the kitchen where the bread that was pulled from the previous night before, I can determine if I need to add any additional pull to that. And then I start the process of baking the bread, which includes straightening out the bread loaves in the pan, assembling and preparing the specialty breads that need to be made, get that process going, as well as then getting the cookies pulled and getting them prepared to cook. To take a half step backwards, when I come in, one of the early things that I do is to get the oven. As I get ready to prepare the bread, I go ahead and get the oven and the proofer turned on, as they take some time to get up to the appropriate temperatures. So baking our bread fresh each day is definitely a positive that I will intend to take forward into the Golden's Deli, because people notice the difference when you bake fresh bread. Now, we break our bread every morning, and we bake enough to get through that day and to start the next day out with. If you prepare the bread correctly, you get a nice fluffy product that is step one of making a good sandwich. I tell people that I train that there's 3 parts to making a good sandwich. It starts with bread, the proteins, and then the dressings. And if you mess up any of those, then you're going to mess up the opportunity to make a good sandwich. So the bread is definitely a very important piece. One of the parts of creating a good sandwich is the meat, what I refer to as the proteins, which includes the meats and cheeses. Our meat product comes in bulk for us to be able to slice fresh to order. Again, I think that's a very big piece of the puzzle that separates us from some of our competitors. People do enjoy seeing a freshly cut sandwich where the meats are cut directly in front of them, so they know they're getting a nice, fresh product each and every sandwich, not just each and every day, but each and every sandwich. So again, that is another piece of the puzzle that I do intend to take forward to Golden's Deli, is the fresh slicing of the hams and the turkeys and the other meats that go towards making a sandwich. As I mentioned, I stagger the employees in throughout the morning to be efficient with my labor cost, but to also make sure that I have plenty of time to prepare ourselves to be ready for the lunch rush when it comes. So after I usually get here around 8 o'clock in the morning, the first employee would come in at 8:30, and their job usually is to set up the front line, which would be to make sure that everything on the front line is topped off as far as product-wise, and also preparation and stocking the front line with cheeses, with the lettuce, a lot of the pre-portioned meats like steak and chicken, the tuna that's just prepared in bulk. And so those kinds of product, like getting the front line set up, getting the grill turned on, getting the meatballs heated up and put into the heat well that we have for them. And then in a restaurant like ours, which is a little bit of a different concept in that we have a drive-through, which a lot of stores, sandwich shops do not have. So that person also is in charge of making sure the drive-through gets set up and gets prepared for the lunch rush. And the third person that comes in is going to be the person that gets the dining room set up for us. And their responsibilities would include flipping the chairs back over from the night before where the floors had been swept and mopped, wiping down tables, Windexing the front doors and the sneeze guard in front of the dressing station as well as the slicing station, Windexing the Pepsi cooler, and Windexing the cookie display case as well as the drive-through windows to make sure that everything looks clean and nice and clear for the customers that are coming in. The fourth person that comes in is usually around 10 o'clock in the morning. That person's responsibility really falls on getting the tea made for the morning and then making the backups that are going to be needed on the front line so that during lunch, when we run out of a product, be it a mayonnaise, a pickles, olives, tomatoes, whatever, that product there's backup prepared and right there at their station so they don't have to walk offline because in the middle of lunch, the customers don't have time to wait for you to go to the back and pick something up or restock something. It needs to be available and handy to be gotten to so that you can, again, move the customers through in a very friendly atmosphere, but as efficiently as possible. With Golden's Deli coming in, we do want to make some changes to the interior of the building. On an exterior basis, we are getting a new paint job. We recently received a new roof, so those are some exterior from that. Obviously, as the customers come in, we'll see something new. We also are getting the parking lot's going to be resurfaced, so that's going to make that as well as restriped. So that's going to give the exterior a whole new look. On the inside, we're going to be making a few pretty dramatic changes for us to the current setup that we have, which is that we are going to be having Pepsi is going to be taken out of the concept and we're going to be replacing with Coke. And in doing that, we're going to modify this same type of a machine, except we're going to have a new countertop put on this particular counter piece, and we're going to move the Coke machine to this side of the counter where it will be adjoined by a two-door Coke refrigerator. This is Georgia, and obviously Coke is the home, or Atlanta is the home of Coca-Cola, and so I grew up drinking Coke all of my life. When I first bought Blimpe, we actually had Coke, and then Pepsi came in, I guess, and negotiated a contract with them and brought that in. But having been a hometown fan of Atlanta and Coca-Cola all of my life, as well as the fact that my mother-in-law retired from Coca-Cola with about 34 years of experience, or years in, it was not a very happy day when we made the transition to Pepsi. So we were looking very much forward to bringing Coke back in. And quite honestly, one of the comments that we get on a fairly regular basis is people in this area saying that they would prefer Coke or would ask for Coke products. Personally, not a big fan of the new Coke machines that come out with the multi flavors. The Fountainhead is going to provide one. The main thing is that it's going to provide us with 8 heads, just like we have now. That is more than enough to cover our needs and requests. We don't get a lot of requests for those really odd flavors that you get when you have those machines that create hundreds of different mixes. So this has been more than sufficient for us over the years, and it's something I intend to just stick with for simplicity. We are going to have a 2-door drink refrigerator that Coke will replace this Pepsi one with, and that does create an opportunity for us to offer our drink opportunities that are not on the 8-head fountain machine, such as the most obvious would be your bottled waters, but you can tell in here we have some juice products. We'll be switching out Gatorade for Powerade actually, as well as, again, the opportunity to offer some bottled products that we will not be able to offer on the fountain machine, as well as the fact that some people prefer, when traveling, to use a bottled product as opposed to a fountain machine. At Blimpe, the standard procedure for ordering your sandwich would be that you come in our particular the way our store is laid out, you come in, you're going to come right to the slicing area, which you'll be able to see your choice of bread options that are available to you. Your menu is going to be up here behind you. Certain sandwiches come prepared on certain breads, but you certainly can make the decision to change those in and out if you prefer. Then you're going to come to your slicer station, so you're going to have someone standing right behind the slicer who's going to take your order, and they are going to make any recommendations and clarify your order to make sure that they have what it is that you're looking for to as far as cutting the meats and preparing the right cheeses and breads and so forth, and the right size of the sandwich and so forth and so on. Next step will be down to the dressing station, where you'll be able to individually tell the dressing station person, what particular items you want on your sandwich, whether it be something as simple as just mayonnaise and lettuce and tomato, or if you want to choose from any of the other options, all of which are included in the pricing that's on the sandwich. From there, you'll come down to the pay station, where you will at that point take care of the procedure, obviously, of payment. They'll ask if you want any chips or drinks, possibly any cookies to finish your meal out with, and then they'll tender your payment based on the price of everything that you've ordered. There you'll get your food, whether it be for here or to go. If you've got any drink cups or anything like that, you'll get those at that point in time, where you'll step over to the beverage station and take care of fulfilling the rest of your order after everything's been tendered out. So, at Golden's Deli, we're going to do some maneuvering. We're going to change that process up a little bit, where we're actually going to take the register, we're going to move it back down here to where the slicing was. So down here, same basic concept on the line, except we're going to cut the countertop so it comes even all the way across here. Your cash register is going to be right here, so you'll come in. There'll be a curly Q line that's built in to in the floor. It's going to take you down a little bit, bring you around. You're going to place your order right here, and we're going to write it down on a piece of paper. At that point, you will go ahead and tender your payment, and you'll get your cup that you need, and we will let you know that you're more than welcome to go ahead and grab your bag of chips if that's what you chose to make a combo meal with, or if you want to order chips. Fill your drink, go ahead and have a seat, and then we will be calling your name to come up and pick your food up, where you'll still pick your food up down on that end, but you don't have to stand here in front of them and tell them what all you want on the sandwich. You can still choose to stand here and watch your sandwich be made if you like, but we're going to get all the specifics on that piece of paper, and then we'll just hang it on a little slotted rail with your name, so that when your sandwich is ready, we can call your name out. And that'll be one of the main differences with Golden's Deli versus Blimpe. And another reason for the change in the Golden's Deli is that it's going to allow us the opportunity to choose some other sandwiches that we would like to run with, as opposed to being mandated by a franchise concept as to what it is that we're allowed to carry.
Trey has been in this community for a really long time, and so when you are looking at opening a business, part of what I think is going to make the business successful would be brand recognition, and Trey is the brand. So when people come into the store, Trey's the first person they see at the slicer, and he's friendly face. My kids he sees people in the community all the time and speaks to them, and the kids have always been like, "Dad, who's that?" And he says, "I don't know, but it's a turkey on or turkey on white or whatever." He knows what people eat. Doesn't know their name necessarily, but he knows what they eat. And so I think that's important to people when they come into a place, and they don't even really have to order, because the people who are taking care of them pay attention and are taking care of them. When we were looking for a name for this place, I wanted to call it Trey's Place. Trey said that sounded like a diner. He didn't want to do that, so we ended up with Golden's Deli.
I was here before, since he bought the store. I was there.
So about
It's 20 years, yeah. I like him pretty well. I mean, he's a good guy. Always helps out when he can.
Part of the business world is putting a professional face forward and making sure that the employees look appropriate as far as their uniforms, making sure that everything is stocked like it should be, there's enough chips, and that all the drinks are placed appropriately in the refrigerator. And Trey's very particular about that, and he makes sure that they're shifting the product appropriately so that we're selling the oldest stuff first. And not that anything really gets old because he sells it fast enough, but he always is very particular about that.
In any business that you're in, the image that you put forth is going to be a large part of what people perceive out of your restaurant or, like I said, of any of your business.
He's very strict but understanding.
I think the fact that we have had little turnover in the last 20 years, we have some employees, we have one employee that's been with us since we bought into this business 20 years ago. We've got several others that have been here for more than 15 years. And I think that's important to people. When they come in, they see the same people. So now that we decided that it's going to be Golden's Deli, we need to decide what the sign's going to look like so that we can get it to somebody so that they can create the logos and that type thing for the signs that are gonna go on the front and that kind of thing. So how do you want it to look?
Well, of course, with our last name being Golden, I thought that it would make sense and, of course, be appropriate that we had the letters in gold, but that's not a real bold color, and so I figured we need to outline it in something. And we're big Georgia fans, so red has always been one of our favorite colors. So if we trim the gold and red, it helps the color stand out, and it also, again, it relates to the name.
This is our drawing board, so we have to go back to what we want our logo to look like. You know, do we want it to be a little bit circle? Do we want it to be straight? Do we want it to be something different? So this is where we start.
So between these two, I like this one better. I like them both, but I do like that one better.
I think you're right. I like that one too. There's your sign for your store.
It looks good. I like it.
So do I.
The customers are why we are here, and I try to make that point understood to the employees that without the customers coming through the door to bring money in the store, then I don't get paid, and if I don't get paid, they don't get paid. So they are our focus. The customers are the reason that we're here, and I enjoy trying to interact with them, getting to know them over the many years that we've been here. I do know a lot of the customers by name. Some customers I don't know by name, I may know by sandwich. But I certainly enjoy getting to interact with the customers, talk to the customers, getting to know the customers, knowing who their kids are, their grandkids are, what it is they do for a living, so that we can have conversations. A lot of the customers know about my family, my wife, my kids.
I've known the family for 30 years, and so knowing the family, but even if I didn't know the family, the quality of the food, the time that he puts into the preparation of the food makes all the difference in the world.
First thing when he's standing over there is greet you by name and says hello, what we have today.
Very personable, friendly. He's usually here working with the rest of his crew, He's usually slicing the meat, and he's the first one you see when you're in line. And he's just friendly, and he thanks you for being here, and it's just a pleasure to be around.
Always makes us feel welcome, greets us with a smile, asks about the family, how we're doing.
Well, it's just a very family-oriented atmosphere, and we just feel welcomed.
Trey knows us, but I've even seen him interact with other customers where he knows their name, he knows what they like. He, has a smile every time you walk in the door, so that definitely makes a difference, I'd say.
Do you know Mr. Trey?
Yes.
Do you like Mr. Trey?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does he make you smile when you come in here?
Yeah. I've been going here for a long time. I come in here about once a week, and because my grandparents come here and I go to church, and I like the sandwich.
And I normally come here 3 times a week. Come here every Monday on what we call Blimpe's Monday.
If I'm going to have a sub sandwich, this is the best place to get a sub sandwich.
The ingredients taste fresher. The lettuce is crisper. The meat's freshly sliced and not prepackaged. So.
Everything is definitely more flavorful.
I was always a stay-at-home mom, so we'd come up here sometimes 2, 3, 4 times a week. Just enjoyed it.
So the word that comes to mind is consistency. You come in the door, it's the same all the time, and it's been that way for years. Nothing changes. You know what you're going to get. You know what you want. You have your favorites, and it's just a great time, great atmosphere.
I've met my wife here for lunch many, many days, drive all the way from Conyers, Georgia to here to meet her for lunch simply because we get good food, enjoy the atmosphere, and just good company, good place to eat.
It's just very pleasing and fulfilling to know that I'm a part of their lives and that they're a part of my life. Quite honestly, when I was in college, I wasn't exactly sure what I intended to do or planned to do. I guess there was a dream at some point in time in my life as I was growing up that I was going to work in one of the big high-rise buildings in downtown Atlanta and be a businessman that worked on the 25th floor overlooking Atlanta. Obviously, that's not exactly the direction my life took. I've gotten into the restaurant business when I was about 12 or 13 and pretty much have been in the restaurant business all of my life. I do gain a lot of fulfillment out of the opportunity to be involved with people on a day-to-day basis.
It was really important for Trey to have his own business as the kids were growing up. I had a regular 9-to-5 job, and it was hard for me to get away when the kids would be sick or if the kids needed to be at whatever event, whether it was drama or cheerleading or baseball, and they had to be there at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was just important that Trey was able to work his schedule so that he could get the kids where they needed to be. And we tease a lot because I tell him that he's kind of the mom in the family. I'm the one that's working all the time and he's getting the kids where they need to go. But that was always really important to me. We've talked over the years about getting out of the business and Trey going to work, at a regular job. And I always discouraged him from that because it was just really important for him to have that time with the kids and do those things that, a lot of times the moms do, but he was able to do that for my kids, and that was just really important for our family.
I can count all the times that my dad ever missed an event that I had on one hand. Just for my whole life, I can count it on one hand because he was always there, and the business kind of allowed him to do that because he was the boss. My mom has a 9-to-5 and she did all when we were growing up, so if we needed to go home because we were sick or anything like that, she would have to ask her boss, and she would have to stay late other days and make up for the work she would miss by coming to get us, if she was able to come and get us at all. But Dad would be able to say, hey, someone needs to cover because I have to go get my kids, and he could schedule himself out for mine and my brother's special events or family vacations, and that was just something that always meant a lot, because a lot of times when you own your own business or you own a franchise, that does kind of have to come first, but with my dad, it never really seemed like that.
Yeah, I started working here when I was 14, and now I'm 18. None of the employees really complain about that. Everybody loves working here. Everybody likes Dad as a boss. Thinks he's very easy to talk to, very good owner and boss, and he does his job very well. My dad was my baseball coach since I was 4 until I started playing in high school, and then he coached me in basketball when I started playing in 1st grade until I quit playing in 8th grade. And then he was my youth pastor at church for about 2 years. He's always been a big part of the community. He donates a lot of food to us for my Alcovey baseball team, my high school baseball team. He does a lot of fundraisers for the other schools around the county as well. And he also donates a lot of food to the athletic programs and does a lot of fundraising with the athletic programs for the schools as well. People come in a lot, and I'll be working without Dad or with Dad, and immediately they know that I'm his son, because they've come in here since I was a kid and they've seen me grow up throughout the years, but some just because I look, like a lot of people say, just like my dad, and I act a lot like my dad.
The family has always been involved with the concept of Blimpe. Of course, my wife and I started this concept together, and although she does have her own career and a full-time job, she has always been ready to help out, and certainly a thought person as far as ideas and concerns with the business and how it runs. The kids, as they were growing up, wanted to be a part of what was going on, so there's some images you've seen or will see about my daughter coming in when she was very young and learning how to count money and help me set the restaurant up in the mornings before she would get picked up by my wife. She eventually actually decided not to work with Dad and went on to work at another fast food establishment in her latter years of high school and early years of college. My son has been very excited ever since he was about 12 to get into this concept, so he does spend a lot more time. He actually picks up some shifts to help Dad out here and there, and also to make a little extra money to put in his pocket for some spending money. This has been an adventure. This is beginning to be an adventure for the whole family now that we're putting our name on this business. My daughter is very excited about helping out with the knowledge that she's gained in her college classes and helping us from a technological standpoint. And my son, of course, continues to want to be involved in the day-to-day operation side of things, and has expressed a concern or an interest in possibly learning a little bit more of the business side of things. And my wife has been very much someone where during this process, I really want to focus more on the day-to-day running of the store. So she has been integral in thinking about some of the concepts and ideas and thoughts that we need to be thinking about on the outside, be it the logo of the store, the color schemes, the design of the inside of the store, as we're changing a lot of that from the Blimpe image to Golden's Deli image.
I mean, I've known him for over a dozen years, and it's the same people and it's the same experience, the same quality of food. It's just, I just felt that, he's the kind of person that can go do it himself.
I'm excited for them, the Goldens, but also that type of store. It's not, the family-owned, individual, non-franchise deli, if you will, is pretty much non-existent, at least in this part of Atlanta, I think. I don't know of any, so looking forward to that.
I guess speaking philosophically, back when 1976, when our nation had its bicentennial, there was an advertisement that stated, "The spirit of achievement is the spirit of America." And so Trey has amplifies that saying to me.
If you look around for the last 10, 12 years, so many of the same people are here, and that's a testament to him.
It's not the name of the place, but it's the quality and what you get from inside the place.
The opportunity for you guys, for his family, to finally do something for himself. He's built it up, 2 stores, but now he's got an opportunity to do it for himself. And that's what I'm excited for.
We're so excited to come here when it's Golden's Deli. We're excited for the new menu. We're excited for the new opportunities for the Goldens, and we will be here all the time. We can't wait.
I'm excited for Trey because I know the hard work that he's put in. I was here when he opened it 20 years ago, and I've seen him grow, and I've seen him grow this business into what it is now.
I absolutely believe it'll be a success. We're excited about it, so I absolutely think it'll be a
Very
success.
confident it'll be a success.
I just wish Trey and the rest of his family all the luck in the world. I'm excited for this new adventure for him, and I know it's going to be great. I'm excited to see the new place.
I'm kind of excited about something. There's a lot of changes and everything. Be able to get out from under the franchise rules and regulations, do our own thing.
You plan to stick around and be this right now?
I want him to feel like a success. I want him to feel like he is doing something that he's passionate about. You know, I think over the last, I don't know, probably 10 years or so, sometimes he feels like he's just going through the motions, and it was always his desire to have something of his own, something that he built. And I think that having this business will give him something to be passionate about, and I want that for him.